My mother-in-law grabbed my wrist as I was walking down the aisle and whispered, "Why are you wearing that ring?" I stopped mid-step, genuinely confused. "Because you gave it to me." The music kept playing. My dad bumped into me from behind. "I told you to keep it safe," my mother-in-law snapped back. "I didn't say to wear it." Her fingers were digging into my wrist. She wasn't looking at my face. She was staring at the ring like it was a lit fuse. "Trudy, what is going on?" my dad hissed. Guests were turning. My fiancé Pete was standing at the altar looking confused. My bridesmaids were frozen at the entrance. "Take it off," she snapped again. "Before anyone sees you wearing it." I leaned it and whispered, "Everyone's already seen it. I've worn it all morning." "Trudy, what?" "Mom?" A voice came from behind me. Not Pete, someone in the pews. I turned around. Pete's sister Claire was standing up. She was pale, staring at my hand. "Mom, why is she wearing Sophie's ring?" The church went quiet at once. My mother-in-law let go of my wrist, stepped back. Her face was white. "Who's Sophie?" I asked. Nobody answered. Claire walked into the aisle, slowly. Her eyes never left my hand. "That's Sophie's ring," she said again. I'd recognize it anywhere. The sapphire, the little diamonds, the twist in the band. I looked at the ring. White gold, small sapphire, tiny diamonds, a slight twist in the band where it met the setting. "I don't know who Sophie is," I said. "Trudy told me this. Was a family heirloom." Claire laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. "Oh, it's a family heirloom, all right." She turned to her mother. "Tell her, Mom. Tell her who Sophie was." My mother-in-law didn't move. Pete walked down from the altar. "Someone needs to explain what's happening right now." The whole church was staring at us. I felt my face going red. The biggest day of my life was being held hostage by something I didn't even understand. Claire looked at me. "Sophie was our sister." The air left my lungs. I didn't even know they had a sister. I turned to Pete. "Why did you never tell me you had a sister?" He looked at the ground, didn't say anything. I could see Claire tearing up. "Because it's too painful for him," she said. "She was his twin sister. She died in a car crash when they were 17. Claire's voice cracked. "That ring was hers. Dad gave it to her for her 16th birthday. Mom told us she buried it with her. She made a whole speech about how Sophie should have it forever." My jaw dropped. I looked at the ring on my finger. My fiancé's dead twin's ring, who I never even knew existed. Then at my mother-in-law. "You told your children you buried this ring with their dead sister?" She didn't answer. "Then you gave it to me." Pete grabbed his mother's arm. "Why? You don't understand." I said why. She pulled away from him, looked around the church at all the faces staring at her. Family, friends, colleagues. "I couldn't bury it," she finally said. "It was too beautiful, too valuable. Sophie would have wanted—" "Don't." Claire's voice was sharp. "Don't tell me what Sophie would have wanted." I cried for months because I thought that ring was in the ground with her. I visited her grave on her birthday every year and talked to her about how she was wearing Dad's ring forever. "Claire, and the whole time it was sitting in your jewelry box?" The murmuring started. Guests whispering, people pulling out phones. Pete's father stood up from his seat. I'd never seen him cry before. "Trudy," he said with tears in his eyes. "I handmade that ring for her. I sat in that funeral home and watched them close the casket believing she was wearing it, knowing Daddy is always with her. Richard, please, don't ever talk to me again." He stood up and walked out. Didn't run, didn't yell, just walked out of the church. Claire followed him. My mother-in-law stood alone in the aisle, 200 people staring at her. "I didn't think you'd wear it," she said to me. Her voice was barely a whisper. "I thought you'd keep it in a box. You're always so careful with nice things." "I thought you thought I'd hide it," I said. "The way you did." She didn't deny it. Pete took my hand, the one without the ring. "We're postponing the ceremony." Then he turned to the guests. He led me down the aisle and out the side door. We sat in the bridal suite for an hour. Neither of us talked. Finally, I pulled off the ring and set it on the table between us. "Let's give it to Claire." He agreed. We got married 3 months later. Small ceremony. Claire officiated, the ring on her hand. Pete's mother wasn't invited. My mother never believed I was abused by her husband. Now she wants my abuser to move in with me? I told my mother what my stepfather was doing to me when I was 12. She slapped me across the face and called me a liar. I told her again at 13. She said I was jealous of her happiness. Said I wanted attention because I couldn't stand that she finally had a real family. A real family. Her words. Like I was the rough draft she was trying to erase. I told her at 14. She dragged me to a therapist and told him I had a habit of making up stories. The therapist believed her. Why wouldn't he? She cried so convincingly. I told her at 15. She said if I mentioned it one more time, she would send me to live with my biological father, the one who hadn't called since I was 3. I stopped telling her after that. My stepfather knew he had won. The night I turned 16 and told my mother I was moving out, he stood in the kitchen doorway with his arms crossed, smirking. "Good luck out there. Let's see who believes your little stories now." My mother didn't stop me, didn't ask where I would go. She just watched me pack like I was a problem finally solving itself. My half-siblings, his kids, stood behind her. They were 9 and 7. They didn't understand why I was leaving. I couldn't explain. I couch surfed for a year, finished high school somehow, worked 2 jobs through community college, transferred to a state school, got a degree in accounting, got a job, got promoted, bought a small condo with a balcony that faced a park. Just me, just mine, just quiet. I built a life so far from that house that sometimes I forgot it existed. Then my mother called last month, first time in 8 years. "Your stepfather had a stroke. He can't work anymore. We lost the house." I waited for more. An apology, an acknowledgement, something. "We need somewhere to stay. Why are you calling me? Your brother and sister both said you have space. Tyler's apartment is too small. Emma just had a baby. You're the only one without kids, without a husband, without a life worth considering, just a spare room waiting to be useful. Do you remember what I told you when I was 12? She exhaled like I had just said something exhausting. "I really hoped you weren't going to bring that up. That was so long ago. You were a troubled child. You made things up for attention. I thought you would have grown out of this by now." Grown out of it. Like trauma was a pair of jeans I should have donated years ago. Has he grown out of it? Or did he just find someone else after I left? "You're being cruel. You've always been difficult. It's no wonder you're alone." "I live alone because it's safer than living with him. Nothing ever happened. You invented the whole thing because you couldn't handle not being the center of attention." I listened to her rewrite my childhood for 3 more minutes. The same script she had been reciting for 20 years. I used to cry when I heard it. Then I used to scream. Now I just felt tired. "You're right. Nothing happened." She paused, surprised. "If something had happened, you would be the kind of mother who let her daughter get hurt and blamed her for it. You would be the kind of mother who chose a man over her own child. Since nothing happened, you're just the kind of mother who shows up 20 years years later asking for a bedroom. Silence. I'm not sure which version is worse. You can't just, my condo has one bedroom, mine. My couch is for guests I actually want. You should call someone who believes your version of events. Maybe they have room. I hung up. I heard my mother found a church group that took them in. I heard she tells people I abandoned her. I heard my stepfather still can't speak properly after the stroke. Good. Now he knows what it feels like to say something and have no one listen. I drink coffee on my balcony every morning. I sleep well at night. Some people think forgiveness means forgetting, but I remember everything, and my door stays locked.